Hey guys, welcome back. Week 2, it's Monday, and today we are going to be finishing up our background information about World War II because tomorrow we're going to be starting our novel. And so today you will need in the assignments, it is the World War II PowerPoint 321, and I will be going through a PowerPoint video or PowerPoint today. And you are going to be writing 3 things that you learned about World War II, 3 things you found interesting from the PowerPoint, and then 1 question you might still have about World War II. Okay, so we are focusing on the information from the PowerPoint today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Let me pull it up here. So the book that we're going to be reading is called Number the Stars. Obviously, it's going to take place during World War II, and today we're going to be getting information. So in this PowerPoint, you'll be introduced to events and importance of World War II, familiarize you with important characters in history, and supply background for the story in Number the Stars by Lois Lowry. So who was in World War II? A lot of us know the U.S. was in it, Germany was in it, but there were a lot of other countries. So there were 2 sides to the war. First side are the Allies, United States of America, we were in there. The USSR, which is the United Soviet Socialist Republic, that is known today as Russia. They were involved. The United Kingdom, which includes England. And then China, France, Poland, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, the Netherlands, all of those countries fought on the side of the Allies. Okay? The Axis, the other side, had Nazi Germany, Japan, Italy. Those are the 3 that we remember the most, especially Germany and Japan. Because those are the ones that we fought against. Japan bombed us in Pearl Harbor. But then there are these other countries as well. We have Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Finland, Thailand, and also Iraq. All fought on the opposite side of us in World War II. Okay, so then who was Adolf Hitler? We know his name. We know he was responsible for World War II and the Holocaust, but we're going to get a little background information about him. He was actually a German soldier in World War I. He was actually not originally from Germany. He was from Austria. But when World War I happened, he wanted to become a soldier, and the Germans are the ones who allowed him to be a soldier in their army. He was a very powerful public speaker, very persuasive. He was the man Germany hoped would help fix their economic problems in the aftermath of World War I. So when World War I ended, lots of countries got together to kind of try to solve this problem of a world war. They didn't want it to happen again. And so obviously Germany got blamed a lot for things that happened in World War I. And they were told that they had to pay millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to other countries for the wrongs that they did. And so their country was very poor. They had huge economic problems after World War I. And so Germany thought, hey, this is the man who's going to help us fix these problems. Okay. He eventually became the elected leader of Germany. Before that, he was the leader of the Nazi political party. When we hear Nazi, a lot of times we think of soldiers. And that is partly true, but Nazis, first of all, were a political party. Okay, so when we hear political party, For us today in the U.S., we have Democrats and Republicans. Okay, so the Nazi political party is how it started. Okay, and then obviously lots of changes came as World War II became there. He was an enemy of the Jewish people. He blamed the Jewish people for a lot of what happened in World War I and afterwards. And then he was also the infamous initiator of the Holocaust, which is one of the worst events in human history. And in some of those web quests that you did, I know we learned that millions of Jews and millions of others were killed in the Holocaust. And he's the one who started it all. This is a family tree. You can see in that yellow highlight, there is Adolf Hitler right there, born in April of 1889 and died in April 1945. Okay. Some pictures, what he looked like as a baby, as a young boy. And then Hitler as a soldier in World War I. He actually, it's a true story, his mustache didn't used to be what we know, that little mustache above his lip. It used to be a lot longer. But when he was in World War I, some gas was thrown into where he was at, and he couldn't get his gas mask to seal properly because his mustache was so long. So he actually, after that point, he cut his mustache to what we know and recognize today as the Hitler mustache, which you can kind of see right there. Okay, it used to be a lot longer than that. He became the Führer, which is the Chancellor of Germany. So he was, like I said, he was elected leader. He became in charge of the whole country, and then ended up becoming more of a dictator than what we think of as like a president. He was in full control of everything. Okay, so why did World War II happen? There was a lot of nationalistic tension, so which means there's a lot of there are a lot of countries who were really tense against one another. Okay, there were a lot of unresolved issues from World War I. Japan, who sat in on those meetings that I told you where Germany had to pay a lot of money, Japan was actually in on those meetings. They fought on our side with us in World War I. But when those meetings happened, Japan had no voice. No one listened to what they said. And so they felt very disrespected after those meetings after World War I. And so they were not happy with all of those countries who fought on our side in World War I, England, France. So they were really upset. They're really. The Great Depression was also happening in between World War I and World War II. Okay, the Great Depression is a time when millions of people lost their jobs. There was very little money. And it just threw countries all over the world into turmoil. And while the United States and England focused on building jobs, creating jobs for people, Hitler became in charge of Germany, and he started building an army, something he wasn't supposed to do because of what had happened in World War I. Germany was told, you cannot build an army, and he did anyway. That's how he tried to work through the Great Depression, was building his army. We talked earlier about the economic turmoil in Germany. Again, so many people without jobs, and they were supposed to be paying back all of this money to countries. There's a vacuum in Germany, which means there was not a strong leader after World War I. Not until Hitler came into power. In 1937, Japanese invasion of China. Japan kind of saw what Hitler was doing, and also president in Italy, how they were starting to kind of take over more areas and build empires, and Japan was like, hey, we want to build an empire too, so they invaded China. 1939, German invasion of Poland. So Germany decided, hey, you know what? You took this land from us after World War I. We want it back. And so they invaded Poland. And then in 1941, Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor. This is the event that caused the United States to join the war officially. Yes, we had soldiers who were fighting before then, but our country did not declare war on anyone until Japan bombed us at Pearl Harbor. So what happened in World War II? We're going to go through a timeline, hear a bunch of events. So in 1918, we have the end of World War I. 1921, so just 3 years later, Hitler becomes the leader of the Nazi Party. Remember, this is a political party. In 1929, the U.S. market crashes, the stock market. And then in 1930, the Germans elect the Nazis into power. Okay, so now the Nazi political party is the one in power in Germany. And then, a couple years later, Hitler is voted Chancellor of Germany. Okay, 2 months later, the first concentration camp opened near Berlin. And then German Jews are stripped of rights in 1935. And that could entail anything. Sometimes it was jobs. So now Jews are no longer to have jobs. Maybe they own a store, and now they have to give up their store because they are a Jew. Okay. In 1936, the Olympics begin in Berlin, Germany. Which is just, there's a concentration camp already opened, and 3 years later we have the Olympics, and not many people really knew exactly what was going on in Germany. They kind of hid it. And then in 1937, Hitler reveals his war plans, and a year after that, his military begins to mobilize in 1938. November 9th, we have something called Kristallnacht, and that was a night where they arrested Jews who were on the streets. They literally destroyed any store that was owned by a Jew. They broke the windows. They tried to burn it down. Whatever they could to terrorize Jews. And then in 1939, Britain, France, Australia, and New Zealand all declared war on Germany. And then October of 1939, the Nazis begin euthanasia on sick and disabled, which means if you were sick or had some disability, euthanasia means to kill them. You're not able to help, so we're just going to get rid of you. It's kind of the mentality. In November 8th, there was actually an assassination attempt on Hitler, and it failed. He survived it. And then in 1940, April 9th, the Nazis invaded Denmark. Also in 1940, the Nazis bomb